With the epic ships coming to the game via the live events really soon, or maybe the first one is already up by the time you watch this, it will be smart to enhance your Adrestia with the best lieutenants in the game. I will tell you how to easily get the legendary lieutenants, where to find them, and also a really nice pro tip. So if you enjoyed that, then a like would be super appreciated, and let's go. Legendary lieutenants are the best and great for on your ship, since they enhance your ship stats like the ramming damage, fire damage, or the rate at which you refill stamina, for example. You can of course also summon them to fight for you in the world with the Call to Arms assassin ability. So before you enter the fight, activate this ability and one lieutenant will show up. There are many ways to get great lieutenants, and one of the best and also easiest ways to recruit them is in the world. Leaders, mercenaries, but also sometimes the pole march enemies in the world will be legendary lieutenants, so I totally recommend that you check if any of the enemies have the gold icon before you sneak into the fort. You can of course scam them with Icarus to get a sense of their rarity and also of their perks. So yes, the gold icon is important, but also important is that they have level 5 perks, because not all the legendary lieutenants will have that. I mean, you can of course still recruit the legendary lieutenants without the level 5 perks, but in the end you want to switch them out anyways, so better look for the lieutenants with the 3 level 5 perks. There's also a really smart tactic you can do to really get the best lieutenants for on your boat. And this one is from Attack It's Workshop, who put this in the comments of one of my recent videos. Because you can actually change the perks for the same enemy if you don't like the perks they have at the moment. And this, by the way, before you recruit the lieutenant. So for the leaders and other enemies in the world, the perks are random, so you can manipulate that. So if you don't like the perks or the level of the perks the enemy has right now, just save your game before like the red enemy area and then load that same save file you just made. And then when you re-enter the world, you'll see that the enemies have different perks, although their rarity remains the same. So only do this when you already see a legendary leader or mercenary, for example, because a purple enemy cannot suddenly become a legendary one, and this also works the other way around. So yes, you can really do this until you found the right perk combination. It's also smart to do this around a leader in a fortified region, because then this leader will have a lot of bodyguards that can also be legendary lieutenants. So then you basically get 2 in one go, and can also like swap the perks for 2 in one go. I really like to use the arrows on my ship, so having more arrow damage that you see thanks to the 3 arrows is totally recommended. And by the way, it's smart to understand the perks, because the same icon is used for different things. You can see the difference thanks to the rows. Like the first row is used for the normal attacks, the second row is for the adrenaline attacks, so with the fire damage, and the fire arrow damage, the fire javelin damage, fire resistance. And the legendary perks are some special ones, like minus damage while boosting, health back after cleaving, or that you start with some adrenaline when the fight begins. And if you already did a lot of naval combat, then you know that getting health back from other ships is really good, so it can be nice to go for that legendary perk, so you get more health back. Although it can be hard to like find that health back perk, because other legendary perks have the same icon, so it will be hard to track. There is some luck involved. So let's say after reloading your save multiple times, you like the perks from the legendary enemy or maybe enemies in the camp, like they're all level 5, then you want to engage and knock them out. And there are multiple ways to do that, like sneaking up to the enemy to knock them out. If you got the Spartan kick on level 3, you can also use that to knock them out and not directly kill them. But it's way smarter to use paralyzing arrows, and it does not matter what playstyle you prefer. It's always nice to have the paralyzing arrows. So spend at least 1 point in the Arrow Master ability to get the paralyzing arrows that you can then switch to while using the bow. And you likely already know this, but what you want to do is like make sure the enemy drops health a lot, but you don't want to kill them. You want to knock them out with the paralyzing arrow. That has to be the last hit. Be careful though when using the devastating shot ability with a paralyzing arrow, because the enemy might still die from this. Like I had this with this leader, as you see right here. Well, normally they should just fall down and not die, so you can still recruit them. You also want to be careful while fighting like on a mountain, because if you throw the enemies from the mountain, he will of course die from the fall. Here you see that I'm pretty lucky, but yeah, be careful with this for sure. And then if you killed all the enemies, something that can of course be harder when you try to recruit a leader in a fortified region, because there will be more bodyguards fighting you. But if you succeeded, you can recruit all the enemies you knocked out with the paralyzing arrows. So there you go, and then you got some nice legendary ones. Of course, when you like recruited them, you still have to hire them to be able to use them in your ship menu. Just go to the ship menu, hire them, and you will be fine. There are also some legendary lieutenants you can get in the Helix store or from the Olympian gifts at the equals of the Olympian store, but those are not better than the ones you find in the world. Like, sure, they look cool, but they all have level 3 perks, while again you can easily find better ones in the world. The same goes for Eevee, you can find in the Ubisoft Club section of the game. You likely already knew this because I already talked about this in a previous video. But yeah, great for the early parts of the game. But again, you can find better ones by just playing. It's also fun to recruit characters you encounter along the way in the story. It's not really a spoiler since this is just a random mercenary. But it's always smart to like scan them too, scan the mercenaries, because they might be really strong as well, as you see right here. So totally try and recruit these people as well, because then later you will see them pop up on your ship and remember them from that story moment too. So that is an extra nice touch. There is another way to get some great lieutenants though, some of the best in the game. You namely get them at the end of the family story of Odyssey. So you are warned if you haven't finished that yet. Of course, if you are going to leave, don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Check out my recent video on the new features coming to the game. You can watch that by clicking on the screen. Okay, you're still here. Spoilers. So if you finish the family story, you get the characters that are still alive as lieutenants for on your ship with pretty good stats. Especially Nicholas is really strong, so if you did not kill him, then he will be a lieutenant on your ship. But also Deimos, so either Cassandra or Alexios, depending on who you play as, will also be a lieutenant if you were able to convince him or her to get back to you as a family. So in my case, I got Alexios with nice stamina refill, so you can boost more often, increased fire damage, and you also already start with one adrenaline bar as well. And it's also pretty cool to like see them on your ship too. Family reunion right there. So it depends on your choices if they are all alive. And you also got your mother and Stentor on your ship, but they both have level 3 perks, so they're not that strong, but it's cool that you can also have them fight with you. But yeah, in the end, I would say get Nicholas, Deimos, and 2 other legendary lieutenants you recruit in the world, or otherwise 4 legendary lieutenants you recruit in the world, or 3, depending on if Nicholas and Deimos are still alive. So yeah, subscribe for everything Assassin's Creed Odyssey. If you haven't already, like this video to support the channel. Check out my recent video, like I already said, on new features coming to the game. I will of course keep you up to date with the weekly reset that happens every Tuesday, and also more stuff that is coming to the game, because I did an interview with the live content director that shared some really interesting things. So thanks a lot for watching, of course, and I will speak to you next time. Goodbye.